Imagine this for a moment. You don't change the government. You don't change your job. You don't change your family. You change one quiet thing inside, and somehow your whole world feels different. What if the real revolution isn't out there in the noise, but in the way you think, feel, and respond in the smallest moments of your day? What if the teachings we usually treat as ancient are actually detailed instructions for your next level of peace, confidence, and quiet strength? Tonight, we're going to walk through that hidden map, not in theory, in practice. By the end of this journey, you won't just hear Buddhist wisdom. You'll see very clearly how a few subtle inner shifts can heal old resentment. Now we go deeper, because intention naturally leads to generosity. Not just money, not just gifts, but the habit of giving. Giving your attention when someone speaks. Giving a smile when everyone else looks away. Giving your skills to help without asking, "What's in it for me?" In Buddhist teaching, generosity, Dana, is like opening a window in a stuffy room. Greed and fear make the air heavy. The heart closes, we cling, but a generous act, even a small one, lets something fresh in. The Buddha pointed to the joy of generosity. There is joy in the intention, joy in the act, joy in remembering it later. You feel it when you support someone quietly. No announcement, no look at me, just a soft inner warmth that says I was able to give. That means I am not empty. Generosity breaks the trance of me versus the world. Every time you give time, help a listening ear a second chance, you remind yourself that you are connected, not isolated. And here's the twist most people miss. Generosity isn't just for others, it transforms you. When you give, you loosen the tight knot of scarcity in your chest. You discover there is more space in you than you thought. More kindness, more courage, more abundance than your fear believed. But how do you know where you need to grow? Where you're still trapped? Buddhist wisdom gives a simple, uncomfortable answer. Look inward. Self-reflection is not self-attack. It is honest seeing. When you sit quietly and watch your mind, you start to notice patterns. The same story you tell yourself when someone doesn't reply. The same reaction when you feel criticized. The same excuses when it's time to change. At first, this can feel confronting, but slowly you realize something powerful. You are not your patterns. You are the awareness that sees them. Thoughts arise. Emotions surge. Images flash. Then they pass. Everything you experience is changing. Nothing is fixed. Even the you defend so fiercely is more fluid than you've been told. This realization softens your grip. You become less reactive. You begin to choose instead of automatically repeat. Self-reflection is like cleaning a mirror. The more honest and consistent you are, the clearer you see your own face, and the less you are controlled by the dust on the glass. From this clarity, another quality can grow: equanimity. Equanimity is not numbness, it's not "I don't care." It is the quiet ability to stay balanced in the middle of life's ups and downs. Good news comes. You feel joy. You appreciate it. But you don't cling as if it must never change. Bad news comes. You feel pain. You acknowledge it. But you don't collapse into despair and say, "It will be like this forever." Equanimity remembers everything moves, everything shifts. When you practice equanimity, you stop riding emotional roller coasters blindfolded. You still feel deeply, you just don't drown. Mindfulness fuels this, noticing the wave rising in your chest, naming it gently. Ah, anger is here. Ah, fear is here. Ah, disappointment is here. And then letting the wave pass without chasing it or fighting it. That small space between stimulus and response is where your freedom lives. At this point, you might be wondering, do I have to figure all of this out alone? And the answer in Buddhist tradition is no. You walk your own path, but you do not walk it without support. Mentors, teachers, wise friends, they are like lanterns on a dark mountain road. A good mentor doesn't live your life for you. They share their maps, their wrong turns, their hidden shortcuts, their quiet victories. They often see strengths in you that you ignore or minimize. They tell you, "You're ready for more than you think." Their stories of failure are especially precious. They let you learn without crashing in all the same places. They normalize struggle. They stop you from thinking, "I'm the only one who feels this lost." And here is another twist. You are also a potential mentor to someone else. You don't need a title. You don't need perfection. You just need honesty, care, and willingness to share. Your scars can become someone else's guideposts. Your lessons can save someone years of confusion. When people share wisdom with each other like this, the path to growth becomes less lonely and far more powerful. All of this karma intention, generosity, reflection, equanimity. Mentors requires one more ingredient: patience. Without patience, you'll constantly feel broken. You'll meditate 3 times and say, "Why am I not enlightened yet?" You'll forgive someone once and ask, "Why does it still hurt?" Patience in Buddhism is not passive waiting. It's active endurance with a soft heart. It is the willingness to stay with the process, to keep breathing through discomfort, to allow growth to unfold at its natural pace. Through mindfulness, you can watch impatience itself arise, the tightness, the urge to escape, the inner voice saying this is taking too long. When you see it clearly, you don't have to obey it. You can choose to stay, to practice one more day, to take one more small step. Over time, patience becomes a quiet strength in your soul. You discover you can hold tension without snapping. Now we come to one of the deepest teachings: letting go of ego. Not erasing your personality, not becoming a blank space, but seeing through the illusion that you are a small, separate, fixed entity. that must always be right, always be praised, always be protected. Ego constantly says, "This is my idea. This is my success. This is my story." It craves attention and fears insignificance. When ego is in control, every disagreement feels like a personal attack. Every mistake feels like a verdict on your worth. Letting go of ego means loosening this grip. You begin to ask, what if I am more than this story I repeat about myself? Through introspection and meditation, you watch how ego talks, how it inflates you when praised, how it shrinks you when criticized, and slowly you begin to identify less with that voice. You act more from clarity than from pride. You apologize more easily. You listen better. You connect more deeply. Humility appears, not as humiliation, but as freedom. You no longer need to be the center. You are content to be part of something larger. Calm, constant overthinking. Life, of course, doesn't stop testing you just because you decide to be wiser. Obstacles still come. Plans still break. People still disappoint. The difference is how you move through it. When challenges hit, you can see them as proof that you're cursed. Or you can see them as weight that builds your inner muscle. Perseverance in a Buddhist sense is not stubbornness with clenched teeth. It is steady, flexible commitment. You adjust your route when you need to. You rest when you're exhausted. But you don't abandon what truly matters. You also allow yourself support. You talk to trusted friends. You accept encouragement. You learn to say, "I'm struggling," without shame. Each small barrier you overcome deserves to be honored. Not with arrogance, but with gratitude. I made it through that. I grew from that. I am not who I used to be. These small inner celebrations quietly rebuild your confidence and remind you that adversity is not the end of your story. So how do you keep growing instead of repeating the same year of your life over and over? You stay a learner. Lifelong learning is not just for school. It's a way of keeping your mind bright and young no matter your age. Read new ideas, listen to new perspectives, explore skills that stretch you. Each new piece of knowledge is like lighting another candle in a dark room. The room doesn't just get brighter. You start seeing paths you never noticed. Curiosity is the key. Ask more questions. Ask better questions. What can I learn from this person? What is this situation trying to teach me? What belief of mine is being challenged right now? When you learn, teach. Share what you discover. Explain it to someone else. Teaching is not about being above others. It's about deepening your own understanding while lifting others with you. There's another area most spiritual conversations avoid, but Buddhist wisdom still touches money, not from greed, from awareness. Financial wisdom and mindful consumption aren't separate from your spiritual life. They are expressions of it. When you know where your money comes from and where it goes, you become less anxious and more grounded. A simple budget is not just numbers. It's a mirror of your values. Do you spend mostly on distraction, on status, or on what truly nourishes you and supports others? Mindful consumption means pausing before you buy, asking, do I really need this, or am I trying to fill an inner emptiness? You learn to distinguish needs from wants, to delay impulses, to invest in what lasts, skills, health, relationships, inner peace. You also consider the impact of your choices on the planet, on workers, on future generations. Buying less, but better. Supporting what aligns with your values. Sharing when you can. This isn't about perfection. It's about waking up in an area where many people stay asleep their whole lives. Underneath all these practices is one foundational thread: mindfulness. Mindfulness is not a trend. It is the simple, powerful act of being fully present with what is happening now. Feeling the breath move in and out, noticing the texture of your thoughts, hearing sounds without immediately judging them. Mindfulness turns ordinary moments into doors to understanding. Drinking water, walking down a street, listening to a friend. When you are truly present, life stops feeling like a blur. You taste it. You inhabit it. Mindfulness also reveals impermanence directly. You watch thoughts arise and pass. You feel emotions swell and then soften. You see that clinging only creates more pain. Gratitude naturally grows from this awareness. You start to see small blessings everywhere. A kind gesture, a quiet morning, a lesson hidden inside a mistake. And as you treat yourself with more kindness, less harsh self-talk, more gentle understanding, you become more compassionate with others too. Finally, there is the dance between caring for yourself and serving the world. Some people burn out because they only give and never rest. Others feel empty because they only protect themselves and never give. Buddhist wisdom points to a harmony. Like oxygen masks on a plane, you tend to your own mind and body so that your service to others comes from overflow, not from depletion. Self-care isn't selfish when it fuels your ability to show up with love, find causes that resonate deeply with you, help in ways that feel alive, not forced. Serve in your family, your workplace, your neighborhood, the global community. Each act of service is a reminder I am part of something larger than myself. And as you give, you meet people with different stories, different struggles, different gifts. Your empathy grows, your world expands. You start to see that your personal well-being and the well-being of others are not two separate projects. They are one movement of the same heart. So here we are. You've walked through a quiet revolution, forgiveness instead of resentment, intention instead of drifting, generosity instead of grasping, self-reflection instead of blind repetition, equanimity instead of emotional whiplash, mentors and shared wisdom instead of isolation, patience instead of panic, humility instead of ego prison, perseverance instead of surrendering to every obstacle. lifelong learning instead of mental stagnation, financial wisdom and mindful consumption instead of unconscious spending, mindfulness instead of living on autopilot, balanced self-care and service instead of extremes. None of these changes require the world to bend to your will. They begin inside. One choice, one thought, one breath at a time. And yet as you shift, relationships soften. Rooms feel different when you walk in. People feel safer around you. Your presence becomes a quiet medicine. That is how a single life lived with presence and compassion begins to change the wider world. The story doesn't end here. This is only one chapter in a much longer journey into the teachings of the Buddha and the depths of your own heart. If this spoke to you, let it influence one decision today, one conversation, one moment where you choose wisdom over habit. And when you're ready to go deeper into karma, into mindfulness, into the nature of the self, come back for the next step on this path. Your inner world is vast. We've only just begun to explore it. Strengthen your self-respect and quietly ripple out into the lives of people around you. That's the prediction gap. Right now, you might feel like your life is just your life. By the end, you'll see that every thought, every choice, every small act is a thread woven into a much larger fabric. So take a breath. Let your shoulders drop. You're not here to fix everything tonight. You're here to understand how a different way of being becomes a different life. Let's begin. Think about karma for a moment, not as punishment, not as superstition. Think of it as the echo of your actions, every word, every reaction, every intention. Like a stone dropped into still water, the ripples move outward, and then one day, they return. When someone hurts you, your mind wants payback, wants to hold on, replay, rehearse. Build a case against them in your head. It feels like protection, but really, it's a prison. Buddhist wisdom offers a radical move. Instead of feeding the echo of anger, you cut it. Not by pretending nothing happened, not by saying it's fine, but by seeing clearly. If I cling to this resentment, I'm the one who carries it. If I release it, I'm the one who's free. Forgiveness becomes an act of self-liberation. It doesn't always happen in one moment. Sometimes it comes in layers. You soften a little today. You understand a little more next week. You let go a little deeper a month from now. And in that slow unwinding, something shifts inside you. Your chest feels lighter. Your mind is less crowded. The past stops swallowing your present. The Buddha expressed it with piercing clarity. Hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. Forgiveness doesn't mean you approve of what happened. It means you refuse to let it define the rest of your life. That quiet decision is the first small change that can rewrite the story you tell yourself about who you are. Now imagine waking up tomorrow with a different kind of clarity. No more drifting. No more "we'll see what happens." You open your eyes, and you know this day matters. My choices matter. My attention is not cheap. This is living with intention. In Buddhism, living with intention does not mean obsessively planning every detail. It means quietly aligning your thoughts, words, and actions with what truly matters to you. Ask yourself, what do I really value? Kindness, honesty, growth, inner peace, service. Most people never sit with these questions, so their days are ruled by default settings, notifications, impulses, other people's moods. When you live intentionally, you choose a different path. You pause and ask, is this in line with the person I want to become? Before you say the sharp word, before you waste another hour scrolling, before you accept another commitment that drains your soul. Intention turns random days into a meaningful path. It turns "I'm just surviving" into "I'm quietly shaping my life." Set one small intention each morning. Today I will respond more than I react. Today I will listen deeply to at least one person. Today I will treat my mind like a sacred space, not a trash bin. These are not dramatic gestures, but stacked over weeks and months, they change how you walk through the world.